So that bass line which I just played for you was the Chicken, originally by Pee Wee Ellis, but the Jaco Pastorius version is the one we're talking about today. And in my opinion, this is the first bass line you should be learning if you're starting to get into jazz, as it really teaches you a lot about the blues language and the funk language and general chord structures. So let's get into how to play it and the reasons why you should learn it. So this is your basic riff starting on the root note B flat. When you go duh, 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 that is your basic riff, which is running over every B flat chord, and then you move it around to play over E flat later, and then D, and then G, and then C as well. You can play around with this, but we're just going to be using that shape for the purposes of today's video. You can look into other Jaco bass lines and there's loads of stuff. Come On Come Over is a good one to mention, but we're looking at the Chicken today, and it's that shape which really tells you a lot, because it's over a B flat 7 chord, and although it doesn't actually have the 7 in it, it is a perfect way to navigate around that chord, and it gives you a good way just to learn how to play over a B flat 7 chord and what notes to play over a B flat 7 chord. By the way, if any of this isn't making sense to you, don't worry, we just have to know that this is over any sort of B flat 7 chord. You can just take that into your head. You don't need to know what the notes of a B flat 7 chord are. You just need to know this shape fits over a B flat 7 chord, and if you move the root notes to E flat, then that's the perfect thing for an E flat 7 chord as well, and it teaches you a lot about chord structures, which is your first main reason for learning it. But also, I just think it sounds great, and I think you can probably agree with me there. It is a banging tune, and a tune that's fun to play is a tune that you'll learn from, and a tune that ultimately will teach you the most things. If you're not enjoying what you're playing, there's not really a point to what you're playing, unless it's for financial reasons or you've got to play it for whatnot. But if it's in your own practice time, you should be playing tunes that you like, and in my opinion, the Chicken is one which no one can really hate, and it teaches you a lot in the process as well. Now, if you're ever given a 12-bar blues, often if you're playing a blues in B flat, or in fact all the time, you're going to start on that B flat 7, and it's that same shape there, and you could just do that over a B flat blues and it'll work perfectly. And then if you're doing a C blues, move that shape to a C and look at the chords that way. But you've probably had enough of me talking about why this bass line is useful, and let's just get into how you actually play it. You would have seen the music on screen when I was playing it earlier, but let's get into how you actually play this stuff, and you know what you're going to want to do to learn it, and how you're going to get it to sink in, and how you can make it the most effective in terms of your practice. So it starts on the root note B flat, and we're playing that on the 1st fret of the A string. You could also do 6th fret on the E string, and if you don't like shifting around as much, that is potentially a good place to start, but Jaco starts here, 1st fret on the A string, and then you can go to the 2nd fret of the D string for that E flat, although I prefer 6th fret on the A string, which is why 6th fret on the E string can be preferable for some, but 1st fret on the A string, B flat, and then a D, open D string, then an E flat there, and then an F, and then a G, and then a B flat. All of that is on screen in tab and music, so you can see what notes it is, but it's 1st fret, open, 1st fret, 3rd fret, open, 3rd fret. And then you just listen to the rhythm. I find, especially with jazz, although you looking at the sheet music does tell you what the rhythm is, and if you know to pick up your rhythm from your sheet music, great. But if you just listen to the rhythm and hear when the notes change in the bit, then if you piece that together, use your ears, pick out that rhythm, it is going to lock into your head much more than if you're just reading it off music. Again, using your ear is a key way to do things like this, and even listening to what Jaco's doing at points in the tune and trying to work some bits out by ear is another great way of expanding your knowledge. But listening and getting the rhythm out by ear is a good way to start if your ear training isn't really up to scratch, because ultimately it takes a lot of effort to get to those higher stages, and most people should be able to pick up the rhythms relatively easily, but it is still a useful skill to adapt and learn over time, and then you can translate your rhythms that you're hearing into the rhythms that you're playing, and it will really stick in your mind, and it will stop you getting the rhythm wrong if you don't know how to read the rhythm off of your sheet music. Just listen to the original tune, listen to the bass part, even just get a version where there's just the bass in there and see what you can do, because that ultimately is going to be the best way to learn the rhythm for all of that stuff, and especially a bass line like this where it's syncopated in places and is a bit of a strange rhythm. So now we've got the basic riff done there. We're going to move up to this E flat 6th fret on the A string, but you'll notice we don't have the open strings anymore. So we have to change the shape a little bit and then go 5th fret on the D string, 6th fret on the D string, 8th fret on the D string, 5th fret on the G string, and 8th fret on the G string, and that's what we get there. And then boom, that is your shape over the E flat, and then just move it down a fret, and there's it over that D, and then there's it over G, and then move it up a string, and there's your shape over the C. And at this point we're almost done with learning the whole tune. That's all of it apart from the end C at the end, which just means non-chord, and it's this little riff that goes, and that is all you're going to need to play for this. So how are we going to do that little bit of an end C? Well, I can give you the notes. It is 3rd fret on the G string, 1st fret on the G string, 3rd fret on the D string, 1st fret on the D string, 4th fret on the A string, 1st fret on the A string, 4th fret on the E string, 1st fret on the A string. So, and again, it's a little bit syncopated there. I'd recommend listening to the tune and just going over it. And if you want to do it a bit slower, slow it down and go. And just take it through like that and see where you can get. And at that point, you have learnt the whole tune. And you can congratulate yourself and enjoy playing this tune, as it is quite a lengthy one, being 8 minutes on some of the versions, and you can play this riff all over it and all of this stuff that I've taught you today, and then boom, that is the whole chicken learnt, and you've got this under your fingers, and that is your first jazz tune learnt, just by doing one simple basic riff and getting that NC at the end. And from that you've learnt a lot of skills around chord language, around the blues, and generally around riffs and learning rhythm in jazz. So that is all I have for you today. I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope now you have something good on your practice list, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.